Welcome to Math Analysis for April 7th. A quick reminder before we start the video, because of our originally scheduled spring break starting tomorrow and going through next Monday, we are not going to be having videos for the rest of this week. This will be the last one. We will be back for videos next Tuesday. But today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be finding the derivative of numbers 11 and 12 in your packet. These are on the second page. And we are going to be utilizing what we talked about yesterday with moving around these variables that we see in denominators. So we said yesterday that we can take variables from the denominator, pick them up, and move them to the numerator by making their exponent negative. So that's what I'm going to do first with these equations, is I want to move everything around so that I have just variables, exponents, no fractions, no square roots, none of that fancy stuff. So I'm going to pick up this z, move it to the top, so it is written as 4z to the negative second. Then I'm going to say plus 1 and 7 stay like they are. If you recall yesterday, the 7 remains in the denominator. We only get to move the variable. So 1/7 z to the negative fifth. I guess we do still have fractions like that, so we're not completely eliminating fractions from the problem, but we are getting rid of variables in denominators of fractions. Then we have the z moving again, but the 1/2 remaining the same. So 1/2 z to the negative first. Since it doesn't have an exponent written there, we assume that exponent is 1, or we know that exponent is 1. But we have to physically write it, in this case, since it's negative 1. Now that we have our equation written in a proper form for using the derivative power rule, we can go ahead and do that. If you recall, the derivative power rule says we multiply the exponent and the coefficient, and then we subtract 1 from the exponent. So 4 times negative 2 is going to be negative 8, and then 1 less than negative 2 is negative 3. 1 over 7 times negative 5 is negative 5 over 7, and 1 less than negative 5 is negative 6. And then negative 1/2 times negative 1 actually makes positive 1/2, and then 1 less than negative 1 is negative 2. So this ends up being our derivative by changing the way all of these are written and then applying the derivative power rule. Now you see number 12 is on here as well. If you want to try this problem, go ahead and pause the video and then see if you can write it in a proper form to use the derivative power rule, and then find the actual derivative of it. Then unpause the video and we're going to walk through it. Okay, hopefully you paused it. If you didn't, that's all right, but hopefully. We're going to go ahead and go through this. 2 over 3 t to the 9th. The 2 over 3 stays the same, 2/3. T to the 9th is going to become t to the negative 9th by getting it out of that denominator. I really wish they wouldn't use variables like t in problems because it just gets mixed up with plus signs. I hate that. 1 over 7 is going to become our coefficient. T to the 3rd flips up, gets out of that denominator by becoming t to the negative 3rd. 9t squared, nothing's got to change there. That stays the same. And then the square root of t to the 3rd is going to become t, the square root, so that means this is a second root, right? So that's going to be the denominator, and this is the numerator, so t to the 3 over second power. Now we're going to go ahead and find the derivative of each of these terms and get our final derivative equation. So 2/3 times 9. Well, 2/3 times negative 9 is going to be negative 18 over 3. That's what these two numbers multiplied together are. 2 over 3 times negative 9 over 1 is negative 18 over 3. But negative 18 over 3 simplifies to just be negative 6 t, or negative 6. The t is going to have an exponent, 1 less than what's here, so t to the negative 10th. There's our derivative. Next up, I guess I shouldn't write a plus sign there necessarily. 1 over 7 times negative 3 is going to be negative 3 over 7. T, and 1 less than negative 3 is negative 4. Negative 9 times 2 is going to be negative 18. And then 1 less than t squared is just t to the first. And finally, negative 1 times 3 seconds is negative 3 over 2. T, and then we take 1 away from this. This is where it gets a little confusing because we're not just taking a whole number away like these. 3 over 2 minus 1 is 1 over 2, or a half. And this ends up being our derivative to number 12. All right, that's where we're going to stop today. That's where we're going to stop for this week, I guess. Come back next week. We're going to keep on moving with derivatives. We're going to keep it going. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll get back to you anytime. Otherwise, enjoy spring break, and I'll see you then.